Good morning, all. So excited to be here. I want to start off with some thank yous and acknowledgments. First, City of Las Vegas. What a wonderful venue to host all of our events and championships, and specifically Circa, the hotel property here. This is super fancy. It looks wonderful. Thank you for having us, and thank you for your hospitality. I'd like to thank all of our media friends for being here in attendance and for all you do for us over the course of the season covering our student athletes and our championships. I'd also like to thank and recognize our board of directors and our joint council for their immense support, leadership, and guidance over my first 6.5 months. We've had no shortage of issues and things to deal with, and they've been stalwart. I'd also like to recognize some of our athletic directors who are in attendance today. Joe Parker, Colorado State, Terry Toomey, Fresno State, Craig Angelos, newly appointed at Hawaii, back of the room there. Jeff Konya, San Jose State, thanks for wearing a tie. Eric Harper, UNLV, Jerry Bovey, Utah State, and Jeremiah Dickey at Boise State. The support we have from our athletic directors for our league and events like this is amazing. I'd also like to recognize our television partners, CBS Sportsnet and Fox Sports, for their attendance and coverage here and throughout the season. We've got several bowl partners in attendance. Look forward to saying hey and catching up, and thank you for being here and your support of the CFP system. I'd also like to recognize our Mountain West Network for all their live coverage. They'll be live broadcasting here today and tomorrow. We're also supported, we're small but mighty shop, and supported by many volunteers, specifically from Air Force, Boise State, New Mexico, and Wyoming. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you for your support. The work of the Mountain West Network has actually garnered multiple SVG awards and one Telly Award for excellence in live production. So again, small but mighty and award-winning. We have several radio stations here, around 13, I believe, broadcasting live from our media day. Very appreciative of you being here with us. We also have, for the first time, Sirius XM, home of college football and satellite radio, for the first time in person here, so thank you. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention our amazing Mountain West staff. Shout outs to Javen Headland and his external team putting this together. As he mentioned at the start, we were a little short-handed. We're getting up to speed, but to pull this off without all the boots on the ground was amazing. I'd also like special recognition to Brett Gilliland, our Deputy Commissioner, who has been an amazing support, a wealth of knowledge, and all-around good human being. Thanks for helping me through my onboarding and first 6.5 months. Lastly, over this past year, I want to acknowledge that we lost 2 members of our Mountain West football family in Ken Rivera and Bill Levy. Bill was the first Mountain West football coordinator of officials from 1999 to 2023, and Ken followed Bill as coordinator from 2003 to 2014. Sorry, I got the years wrong. Bill was from 1999 to 23, and Ken followed Bill from 03 to 14. They both will be remembered for their incredible work and legacy in the Mountain West. So I'd like to talk about my first 6.5 months on the job and what I've been spending my time on. It all began with campus visits. I have been to about 7 campuses, at least for games, deep visits, meeting with administrators and folks. I've got 5 more left to do. I look forward to doing those in the fall around football season. I wanted to get back on campus when student athletes and coaches were around. It's very apparent to me that our Mountain West institutions offer amazing first-class student-athlete experiences in remarkable settings. Our academics and serving communities are important to all of our member schools, and our student-athletes are doing amazing things in the classroom alongside with our coaches through service because they care. I've really enjoyed getting to know our administrators and student-athletes, but I've also been really impressed by the investment and the facilities within our athletic departments across our league. Also, I've noticed a very strong bond between all our campuses and their communities. Many of our schools sit in geographic regions where they are the show in town, and that is reflected through fan bases and the support of their communities. One big first order of business for me was our creating a strategic plan for the conference. An initiative led by Brett Gilliland, our deputy, as well as our Strategic Planning Advisory Committee. That's made up of 15 individuals representing all 12 institutions. We have gone broad and deeply in collecting feedback and input from nearly 10,000 Mountain West constituents. Excuse me. We've used surveys, focus groups, individual interviews. We've talked to current and former student athletes, general student body members, head coaches, athletic administrators, staff, university personnel, industry voices, several members of the media, and community members, donors, and season ticket holders. We've left no stone unturned because this is a very important effort for us, and we're closing in on finalizing it. We hope to roll out our 5-year plan in October. Concurrently with our strategic plan, one of the things I heard during my interview and during my first 6.5 months on the job was the need to have a very strong national brand. To that end, we've retained Global Prairie as a firm that's going to lead us through a brand examination and analysis, and we hope to get the results of that study in the fall. But speaking of our brand, as you can see, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary of the Mountain West. And it's a very special, even though we are a young league, it's a very special landmark for us to celebrate the growth and pioneering spirit of the Mountain West. During preparations for the celebration of our 25th, I've learned that we're a conference of firsts. We're innovators, we're trailblazers. We were the first league to have sports television linear network dedicated solely to a collegiate conference. We were the first to have a female play in an FBS football game. We were the first to experiment with College Coaches Challenge in the football instant replay system. And we had one of the first berths in the expanded in the CFP playoff system in which Boise State beat Arizona. We were the first league to have student athletes be in our governance structure, both at the joint council and the board level. The board is the body of presidents. We were the first to host an esports event alongside a collegiate athletic event. In football specifically, this year is the first that we will be competing in a single division since 2012, not including COVID. In 2023, this season, we'll debut the first year of a 3-year scheduling cycle. And the purpose of this scheduling cycle is to have all of our teams see each other more frequently, creating more balance in the league, and culminating in having the 2 best teams in our league be playing against each other in our conference championship, all toward the goal of securing that AQ spot this year in the New Year's Eve 6 and next year in the CFP expanded playoff. In our 25th year, we're also celebrating success across all of our other sports. Globally, the Mountain West has 5 team NCAA championships and 52 individual NCAA titles. In football, we've had 11 players selected in the first round and more than 240 overall drafted. When I think about the 25 years of this league and the common values and shared ethics, one of the things that has come to stand out to me in our strategic planning process and the data collection is the pride we have around diversity and inclusion. It has become a central pillar of our strategic plan and a hallmark of our league. For instance, of all 10 FBS leagues, we are the most diverse board of directors, both in ethnicity and gender. Our administrators and coaches are reflective and proud of our diverse populations, and embracing diversity is a key part of what defines the members of the Mountain West. In addition to ethnic diversity, we've celebrated the 50th year of Title IX last year, but we continue to promote and value the growth of women's sports. And we recently introduced or announced the addition of women's gymnastics, which is the 19th sport in the league and the first sport addition since the inception of the Mountain West in 1990. We also can't talk about the 25th without talking about Craig Thompson. Craig not only built this league, he consistently worked to ensure that our schools had access and opportunity to compete at the highest level. His initial proposal for an 8-team expanded playoff was introduced in 2009, and he was on the subcommittee that actually got the 12-team expanded playoff approved this past year. We owe Craig a huge debt, and it's an immense part of his legacy. Like many other leagues, we've been focused on the many national issues that face college athletics. Yesterday, I had a chance with our staff to meet with our football student athletes and talk about some of those issues. We talked about name, image, likeness. Generally speaking, our student athletes thought it was great, but pay for play is a problem. We need Congress to assist in a solution to help the NCAA regulate NIL in a way that we can prevent pay for play. Without national regulation, you can't have national competition, which culminates in national championships, and we need Congress's help to achieve that. We talked about the impacts of the transfer portal, and our student athletes were amazingly frank and candid about the individual impacts of transfer portal, as well as the impacts on team and locker room dynamics. As a conference office, I think it's our obligation to continue to monitor the policies that govern the transfer portal and ensure that our coaches and teams are able to consistently recruit competitive talent, and it's our obligation to be a national voice in the policies that continue to evolve around transfer portal. Another topic, and one appropriate based on the venue we have selected for our media day, is sports wagering. We talked about with the student athletes the new technology, all the state laws that are enabling sports wagering, and it's incumbent upon the conference office to continue to monitor and uphold the integrity of the competition, but also protect our student athletes. They are subject to, social trolls and threats based on their performance, and it's our job to be a national voice in their protection as well as monitoring what happens in our games and competitions. To that end, we've retained the firm of U.S. Integrity, who's based here in Las Vegas, and a very well-reputed company that's going to help us monitor, educate, and protect our sports and student athletes. Nationally, all conferences continue to focus on their media agreements and on membership. The Mountain West is not immune to these concerns as it relates to San Diego State. I'm proud to report that earlier this week, we came to a resolution, and San Diego State will continue to be a member in good standing to the 23-24 season. As you can appreciate, I'm not going to be commenting on the deliberations of the board or the details of the resolution. Suffice it to say, I feel like we landed in a very, very good spot, and we're very much looking forward to moving forward with San Diego State. In addition to all the Mountain West projects and initiatives that we have going on behind the scenes, we're here today to talk about Mountain West football. Our goals and expectations are to be among the top 6 FBS conferences nationally. We have the 3rd best win percentage in bowl games since 2004, trailing only the SEC and the Sun Belt. Our depth across our league is reflected in 6 of the last 7 years. We've had at least 3 10-win seasons, COVID withstanding. In the last 19 years, we have been the 6th ranked FBS conference 10 times as determined by the computer rankings. Now, a key focus in our positioning around football this year and aiming for that top 6 is the New Year's 6 playoff this year and the expanded CFP next season. Speaking of the playoffs, I must congratulate Bill Hancock and wish him the best in his retirement after the 23 season. Like Craig Thompson, Bill was one of the original architects of the system we have today. I'd also like to thank Tom Berman, the athletic director at Wyoming. For the last 3 years, he's served as our representative on the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. And I'm excited that Chris Alt, former Nevada head coach, will be entering the selection committee as their newest member, who is intimately familiar with the Mountain West and I think will represent us quite well. Another key piece of our national positioning as a top 6 FBS league is our national television package. We have 47 games on national television, 3 on CBS, 27 on CBS Sportsnet, 17 on Fox Sports. Our viewership continues to break records. In 2022, our Mountain West football champ game featuring Fresno State and Boise State had 1.9 million viewers on Fox. That's a 133% increase over the prior year. 2022 ranks as our most watched Mountain West championship game since our network. Most watched championship game. Lastly, I talk about the other things that happen on the field. A big piece of that is football officiating. We were proud to announce this last year that our new officiating coordinator, as Javen mentioned, is Mike DeFee, who's with us today. We're excited to be a member of an alliance that includes the Big 12, the American, and the Southland. Over 300 officials will be under this alliance's umbrella, where we will continue to develop consistent training, evaluation, and grading processes. Key to the alliance is developing a pipeline of officials that all learn the same way, both philosophies and mechanics. So we're very excited for Mike DeFee to lead our officiating program. I'd like to offer thanks to Greg Burks, who've been with us since 2015, and will continue to work with Greg in the Big 12 and the Alliance. Mike and I will be meeting with our football coaches later today, and if you have any questions on rules, don't ask me, ask Mike. In closing, I'd like to say I'm extremely optimistic about the future of the Mountain West in football and whatever the future may bring. If COVID has taught us anything, it's we know how to weather change. We know how to pivot. Our board, administrators, and coaches are committed to be nationally competitive, and our continued focus on attracting great talent, developing that great talent, and allowing that talent to blaze new trails will be the characteristics that ensure the Mountain West will continue to thrive and conquer any challenge. Thank you for your presence and attention, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
We'll now open it up for questions for Commissioner Nevarez. If you'd like to ask her a question, please raise your hand. We have Shelby on this end of the room. We have Macy on this end of the room. Please wait until you get the microphone. And once again, please state your name and your affiliation. We'll start back here with Mark.
Anderson, AP, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I know you said you want to comment on the details of San Diego State, but there's reporting that they're going to be able to keep the money that was being withheld.
Your mic went off on the back half of the question, but I think it was about the distribution. So as a member in good standing, that distribution has been released.
Ryan Thorburn with the Star Tribune. Gloria, you kind of touched on it, but there's a window here with the playoff coming, an expansion. You know, what level of confidence do you have that this will be a top 6 conference, and what steps do you need to get there to make sure that you're a part of that party?
I'm very optimistic given the national landscape right now. I think our teams, especially our top 4 or 5 teams, are very well positioned based on strength, returning core, and our competitive schedule.
Right down here in the front.
In regards to how much success the Mountain West has had in the past against, say, the Pac-12, with everything going on with them and USC still moving on, do you feel like now more than ever, the Mountain West can kind of stake its claim as something more than just a conference outside of the Power Five and actually one of the major competitors?
Well, and I think you touched on something that's really key. With the new expanded playoff, our universe looks like 10 FBS conferences, and I fully expect that we can vie to be in the top 6, which are the AQs. And so I'm very optimistic, whether it be the Pac-12 or any of the others in our geographic region or without, that our competitive schedule is really setting us up to be well positioned at the end of the year.
And because of all
I don't think any commissioner feels their conference gets enough respect. But I will say, one of the jobs of the conference office is to be the megaphone for what's going on in the field, and I think you heard me speak about really elevating our brand nationally and maximizing our television partners to send our message nationally. And so I think that's incumbent upon us this year to really help spread the news about what we're doing out here.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Jordan Kay, Bronco Nation News. You mentioned right here.
Oh, sorry.
You mentioned that you want Congress to regulate NIL. That's kind of, I guess.
No, correction. We need Congress's help to allow the NCAA to
Okay.
regulate NIL.
Specifically in that, what specifically would you ask that the NCAA regulate? What are the specifics that you're looking for?
I think it's an allowance. It's twofold, and this is based on new NCAA President Charlie Baker's platform. But one, helping us level set all the different state laws around NIL, and two, some kind of protection to implement national regulation without being subject to litigation.
Go ahead, Kirk.
Regarding the San Diego State situation, they did a letter that kind of started everything rolling on different interpretations from both sides. But I'm curious, in their 3 subsequent letters, they said they're still in, and the conference insisted that they're out. And I wonder why the conference would keep insisting that.
Keep what?
Keep insisting that they were out, and
Oh.
State made a point 3 times to say they're still in.
As I said, I'm not going to comment on the machinations that got us here, but I will say, it used to be that conference movement was an anomaly. Now it seems to be a regular part of business. And what I found is that, we have very strong conference policies that are designed to not completely prevent schools from leaving, because we acknowledge that movement is going to happen, but that protect the conference when those things happen. Certainly, we'll continue to evaluate those and tighten them up, but I really think our policies look like a lot of other conferences, and I'm really pleased at where we ended up at the end of the day.
And I also want to ask you about possibilities for expansion of the Mountain West. How would you guys look toward that? And are you guys eager to do some expansion?
We are constantly evaluating that. We have a small group, 3 presidents, 3 ADs, our membership subcommittee. We always want to be on the front foot in evaluating the environment. And, people ask about candidates or what types of schools we're looking for, and it changes every year based on who's available, the strength of who's out there and what's available. So it's a constant evaluation.
Are you concerned about other schools being poached from the Mountain West, and how do you protect against that if you can?
Like I said, the Mountain West was the original disruptors in this space back in 1999, but now it seems to be a common occurrence. It's something that we think about regularly and we're prepared for. And as long as we maintain our positioning in the FBS space, in that high middle position, we're going to be fine. We just have to make sure that we're on the front foot, that we continually evaluate the strength of our league, and that we're getting ahead of these things when they start to develop.
We'll go right here in the middle of the room to Mike.
Mike Prater, KTIK Radio in Boise. Right here.
Hey, Mike.
When you talked about San Diego State, you specifically mentioned 2023 and 2024. What kind of concrete support/evidence is there, or confidence in just you that they can remain in this conference beyond this next athletic season?
I mean, not specific to San Diego State in this environment. There's nothing concrete about where anyone's aligned these days. I mean, not to be facetious, the landscape's changing day to day, which is why I just mentioned 23, 24, because nobody knows what the future looks like. A lot of media deals need to come to fruition.
We'll go to the back of the room to the left.
How you doing? Colby Dan, SGPN Sports. I was wondering, we recently heard Brett Yormark, Big 12 commissioner, say he's going to attack weeknight college football games more often, and we've seen the MACtion do that so aggressively over the past few years, and Conference USA making that push to do that this year. Is that something you consider to do more in the future, is play more weekday college football games to get more eyes on your product?
We are in constant communication with our television partners on all those types of concepts. Week 0, weeknight, how can we distinguish ourselves? We have a very unique thing in our Western region time zone, and that has a lot of value, but what else can we do to find clear air and distinguish ourselves and grow the national audience? So that's one piece of several things we're looking at.
Let's go to the back there with Andrew.
Hi there, back of the room, right in the middle. Andrew Martin, KGPE Television in Fresno, California. Has there been talk of moving the Mountain West Football Championship game to a neutral site?
We have discussed, but I wouldn't say we've gotten serious contemplation, at least not in my 6.5 months. Definitely on the radar, though.
Down front here.
Okay.
It seems that San Diego State's continuation is based a lot on financial practicalities. Can you make any other commitment to the league, say that you're going to support the league or any more pledges to the league for the next few years?
Again, I'm not going to get in the details of the issue or the resolution, but I will share, I think my overarching philosophy through the entire thing is San Diego State is a positive to the Mountain West. We are better with San Diego State in the league, and I am really feeling good about where we landed.
Let's go front right here.
Hi, Mike Makita, Reddit CFB. My question's about the bowl situation for the conference. Is there any talk about or any consideration about expanding the bowl, the number of bowls for the conference, or making it a possibility for the Mountain West champion to place some maybe better than the number 7 Pac-12?
Our goal is for the Mountain West champion to play in the expanded playoff and the New Year's Six, but our bowl alignment is constantly under analysis. We're all kind of waiting to see and figure out what the new expanded playoff and how it ripples into the bowls, but by and large, I think the inventory available doesn't change much, even with the expanded playoff. So we might be very close to business as usual, but again, our deputy, Brett Gilliland, is thinking about that every day and constantly evaluating the environment.
Any other questions for Commissioner Nevarez? We'll go to John right here in the middle.
John Schaefer, San Diego Sports 760, Commissioners,
Yep.
good to see you. I was just curious about San Diego State's run to the national championship game in men's basketball and what that's meant for the overall Mountain West Conference.
One, that was an amazing achievement, and all credit to Coach Dutcher and that team. It was a phenomenal run. It was super fun to watch. But what I really appreciated about San Diego State during that is, talking about the strength of the league and how when they got sent across the country in their first round, that's a normal conference road trip. And I think really the toughness of our league really helped them prepare for and achieve throughout that run. So it really was an amazing achievement and one that we expect to celebrate all through basketball season this year.
Is that something after this past year, as you look forward to the next, basketball season, what does that mean for the league, its footprint, its exposure moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. We can feel it already, our excitement from our television partners and media, and it's a great talking point for the league. I mean, we're going to continue to celebrate that coming through this year.